A colonial-style house stood in Greenwich's upscale neighborhood. The soft early spring sunlight illuminated white tulips beginning to bloom in the garden. The front lawn glistened with morning dew. Mary Wilson sipped her herbal tea while gazing at the scene through the kitchen window. 3 years in this house. I finally have a real family, she thought, placing her hand on her growing belly, basking in the happiness of the moment. Congratulations, Mrs. Wilson. You're at the top of the department this quarter, her supervisor praised her at their office in downtown Stanford. Mary smiled modestly. Throughout her 10 years at Morgan Stanley, she had maintained top-tier performance. Even now, 8 months pregnant, her sharp business acumen hadn't dulled. Thank you. I'll ensure all client handovers are completed before my maternity leave. Back at her desk, she found a message from her husband. I'll pick you up at 7. Made dinner reservations. James, whom she'd met through a colleague's introduction and married 4 years ago, was the ideal husband. He drove her to and from work daily in his luxury BMW, spent weekends selecting ingredients at Whole Foods to cook together, and always took her to Sunday brunch followed by leisurely afternoons at the country club. When she announced her pregnancy, he was even more overjoyed than she was. Let's paint the nursery blue. It's a boy, after all. Yes, that would be lovely. Though perhaps a more subdued shade. Of course, whatever you think is best. However, her relationship with her parents and sister Linda was somewhat complicated. From an early age, her parents' affection had been biased toward her sister. Her father Robert, during his successful years as CEO of a real estate development company, granted Linda's every wish: expensive designer items, overseas trips, art school tuition. Meanwhile, their treatment of Mary remained consistently cool. Her mother Carol, overly conscious of their social standing, doted on the more presentable Linda. Mary had strived for independence early on, earning a scholarship to Yale University. After graduation, she immediately landed a position at a prestigious firm. The $500,000 she inherited from her grandmother was wisely invested and used as a down payment on this house. Still, family was family. When she announced her pregnancy, her parents and Linda were delighted. They had been visiting frequently lately. Her husband James was unusually attentive to her parents, giving expensive gifts and inviting them to upscale restaurants. They went out for family meals almost every weekend. I'm so glad Mom and Dad like you, Mary said to James, who responded with a gentle smile. She noticed something hollow in his smile but dismissed it as her imagination. 3 weeks into her maternity leave, Mary was busy with preparations for the baby. Shopping on Amazon, gathering baby supplies at Target, even making trips to Walmart on weekends to carefully list everything needed. During this time, her husband's behavior gradually changed. He began coming home late, and his weekend absences increased, citing work commitments. There's an urgent meeting. I have a golf appointment with clients. His excuses became increasingly sophisticated. One day, passing by the study, she overheard her father and husband's voices. Don't worry, everything is going according to plan. Perfect. Mary won't. Though fragmentary, the conversation heightened her sense of unease. She noticed Linda and her husband talking intimately more often. Her mother would start to say something, then fall silent. Mary quietly took out her smartphone and activated the recording app. She didn't know why. Only her intuition that something was wrong guided her actions. At Greenwich Hospital, February sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the pristine white bed linens. Mary, holding her 3-day-old son, was preparing for discharge. From the nurse's station came the quiet voices of staff and the regular electronic beeping of monitors. "The baby looks very healthy." "Yes, he's a strong boy." The attending nurse spoke cheerfully. The delivery had gone as planned, with both mother and child healthy. Postpartum care was progressing smoothly, and the doctor had given them a clean bill of health. "Your husband. Is he coming to pick you up?" "He seems to be busy with work." Mary answered calmly, though her voice carried a hint of loneliness. Her husband hadn't visited once since the birth. Neither had her parents or Linda. They weren't answering calls or responding to messages. An unnatural silence. Yet her expression remained composed. Years in the financial world had taught her how to control her emotions. "Shall I call a taxi for you?" "Yes, please." While waiting in the hospital lobby, Mary held her son's tiny hand. She felt deep love for her child's sleeping face, wrapped in soft baby clothes. Her smartphone was filled with unread emails, work communications, congratulatory messages from friends. But nothing from family. The taxi quietly made its way through the residential area. The roadside snow had mostly melted, with early spring flowers peeking through here and there. The driver kindly gazed at the baby, occasionally smiling through the rearview mirror. Outside the window, daily life flowed peacefully, children returning from school, elderly couples taking walks, residents tending to their gardens. "We're almost there." As they turned the corner onto the familiar tree-lined street, Mary's eyes caught something unusual. Standing starkly against the quiet of the upscale neighborhood was a large sign. "For sale, Miller and Associates." Even before the taxi stopped, everything became clear. The blue planters she had chosen with her husband were gone from the entrance, along with the handmade wreath. The BMW was missing from the garage, and familiar curtains had vanished from the windows. Every trace of the home they'd built over 3 years had been erased. "Ma'am, are you sure this is the right place?" Mary quietly nodded. Still holding her baby, she approached the front door. As she tried to insert her key, she drew a small breath. The cylinder had been replaced with a new one. The polished metal gleamed impersonally. The sound of a neighboring door opening broke the silence. "Mary! You!" Mrs. Collins, her elderly neighbor, hurried over with concern in her eyes. "There was a move yesterday. Several large trucks came. They were moving things out from early morning. Everything had gone according to plan. The reason for not attending the birth. The sudden silence. Time to arrange movers. Everything had been perfectly calculated. Mary gently adjusted her hold on her son and took out her smartphone. Just then, the screen lit up. A notification sound cut through the quiet air. New messages from James. Photos appeared on the screen, each one eloquently telling the story of their calculated betrayal. The top floor of Trump Park, a luxury condominium in Stanford. A magnificent living room with floor-to-ceiling windows offering New York-like views, adorned with Manhattan-style modern decor. And 4 people seated on a cream-colored luxury sofa. Father, Mother, Linda, and James. All smiling, raising champagne glasses. Their expressions exuded the confidence of victors. Scrolling through the screen revealed a long message from her husband. Each word stabbed at her heart. The move to the luxury apartment. The new life with her parents and sister. And the divorce papers that were already prepared. The report that all real estate sale procedures were complete. Ending with a flippant LOL. More photos followed. A celebration dinner at an upscale restaurant. New furniture being moved in. The family relaxing by the pool. As if flaunting the success of their perfect plan. Mary, come inside and rest. Mrs. Collins reached out with concern. I'm fine. Mary smiled quietly. A calm expression, as if witnessing a trivial event. Behind her eyes, a cold fire burned quietly. Could you call another taxi, please? Yes, of course. But maybe we should call the police. No need to worry. This is a matter for legal handling. As she put her smartphone in her bag, Mary gently kissed her son's cheek. Her posture was dignified, showing no signs of postpartum fatigue. Let's make a hotel reservation. We'll need to stay for a while. The finest suite. Before returning to the taxi, she looked up at the house one last time. Their home filled with 3 years of memories. Tulips gleaming in the sunlight. Mary quietly accepted this as the prologue to the battle ahead. Dad and the others, you're really in for it now. She took an envelope from her bag. The surface was neatly labeled Evidence Number 1. Inside were recordings from the past 3 months, bank transaction records, logs of suspicious phone calls. Mary's eyes glinted sharply. The intuition honed over 10 years of her career hadn't betrayed her. This wasn't just family betrayal. This was a calculated crime. And they had chosen the worst possible opponent. In a suite at the Greenwich Ritz-Carlton, the 50th floor view commanded a panorama of the dawn cityscape. Mary faced her laptop screen, organizing vast amounts of data. In the adjacent bedroom, her 2-week-old son slept peacefully. Mrs. Wilson, top attorney Jonathan Sterling is here to see you. Please show him in. Responding to the concierge's voice, Mary saved her final file. Sterling Law Firm. One of New York's most trusted law firms. Mary, I'll be personally handling your case. A man in his 60s wearing a gray suit spoke with a calm voice. His eyes held the confidence built over 40 years of career experience. Thank you. I've already sent materials to the team, but let me explain directly. Mary opened her laptop and began her presentation. First, my father's debts. The screen displayed complex financial flows. During the 2008 real estate bubble burst, my father's company was effectively bankrupt. He continued making risky investments, and his current total debt amounts to $2.5 million. Mary continued her explanation calmly. Next, my husband's involvement. The screen changed. Before our marriage, my husband had regular contact with my father. Using our marriage as an opportunity, they devised a new investment plan. Here's the evidence. Audio recordings played. Conversations between her father and husband. The planned marriage, misappropriation of assets, and ultimate betrayal. Everything was meticulously recorded. And this is the decisive evidence. Mary produced a document. The signature on the real estate sale. Handwriting analysis clearly shows forgery. My husband forged my signature to sell the house. Attorney Sterling nodded quietly while reviewing the documents. I've also confirmed my sister's involvement. The screen showed photos of Linda's secret meetings with her husband. They met frequently to devise plans. My sister was the intermediary between our parents and my husband. I see, Sterling took a deep breath. This isn't just a divorce case. No. This is organized financial fraud. Mary's voice maintained its composure while carrying a dignified resonance. My proposed legal proceedings are. Mary opened new materials. They detailed a perfect counterattack plan. Impressive preparation. Sterling nodded appreciatively. But this is just the beginning. Mary continued quietly. My career is in financial crime analysis. For 10 years, I've exposed numerous frauds. I'm putting all that experience into this case. Outside, the sun was beginning to rise, heralding a new day. We'll initiate legal proceedings simultaneously. Criminal charges, civil litigation, and reports to financial authorities. Not one by one, but all at once. They're your family. Sterling quietly questioned. Mary looked toward her son's bedroom, hearing his soft breathing. That's precisely why. Her voice was filled with determination. They tried to take away my life. And my precious son's future. I cannot forgive that. Just then, there was a knock in the hallway. I've brought your breakfast. Mary smiled at the room service voice. Let's go over the specific procedures while we have breakfast. An elegant breakfast was laid out on the table. French toast, fresh fruit, aromatic coffee. They're probably enjoying an elegant breakfast at Trump Park right now. Mary said while picking up her coffee cup. But only until today. Tomorrow, their hell begins. Sterling nodded silently. 40 years of experience told him this quietly angry woman would surely achieve victory. A baby's cry began to sound. Please excuse me for a moment. Mary stood up and gently lifted her son. Mama will definitely protect your future. On the top floor of Trump Park, as the winter morning sun brilliantly illuminated the high-rise windows, James exhaled cigar smoke. Robert and Linda lounged on expensive Italian sofas, while Carol busied herself preparing breakfast in the newly furnished kitchen. It hadn't taken long to get used to this luxurious life. An urgent call from his secretary transformed the peaceful morning atmosphere. The color drained from James's face. The moment he put down the receiver, the intercom rang. "Police. We have a warrant." The clock showed 9 a.m. James was led to a police vehicle in handcuffs before the gathering press. A female reporter's voice echoed through the morning streets. Investment consultant James Wilson has been arrested on suspicion of fraudulent real estate sales and fraud. The suspect is accused of forging his wife's signature to fraudulently sell property worth $2.5 million. The funds were allegedly diverted to repay his father-in-law's debts. The suspect's father-in-law, former CEO Robert Brown, and sister-in-law Linda Brown are also suspected of involvement in this case. In Stanford's business district, James's workplace was forced to respond immediately. The PR representative's voice trembled with tension as they read a statement. "We have terminated our employment contract with suspect Wilson effective immediately." In her suite at the Greenwich Ritz-Carlton, Mary quietly watched the news. Beside her, Attorney Sterling worked on his computer. "Everything's going according to plan," he said, and Mary quietly nodded. "Yes. But this is just the prologue." True to her words, the collapse spread like a chain reaction. First, the real estate sale was invalidated. The evidence of forged signatures was clear, and Trump Park's Management Association received an eviction notice. Then, financial authorities extended their investigation. The full extent of James and her father's fraudulent money transfers gradually came to light. Linda's desperate cries to reporters in the luxury apartment lobby were repeatedly broadcast on evening news. "We have the right to live in that house." Her desperate pleas failed to garner public sympathy. Carol stopped attending church gatherings she had previously been devoted to. Unable to bear the cold stares, she voluntarily surrendered her country club membership. Longtime friends began distancing themselves one after another. As the investigation progressed, deeper darkness emerged. Her father's company's collapse wasn't just due to mismanagement. Intentional asset concealment, fictitious transactions, and tax evasion. Financial authorities began thoroughly investigating 10 years of transactions. Linda, unable to bear the online harassment, deleted her social media accounts that had been filled with glamorous posts. Photos of her luxurious life at Trump Park continued to spread online, ironically symbolizing her downfall. In an interview with the local paper, her mother tearfully pleaded, "We didn't know anything." However, email records discovered by Sterling's team clearly showed she had known the full extent of the plan. As summer drew to a close, the final moment arrived in court. In the solemn courtroom, the verdict was delivered. James received 5 years in prison, heavily sentenced for fraudulent real estate sales, fraud, and document forgery. Robert received a 3-year suspended sentence, and Linda was ordered to perform 200 hours of community service. The civil lawsuit resulted in damage payments totaling $4.5 million. After the verdict, her mother approached Mary tearfully. "Please forgive us." But Mary quietly walked away. Her back showed no signs of hesitation. As autumn deepened, Mary had just finished her speech as committee chair at a Greenwich Hospital charity event. Her secretary patched through a call from Linda. After a moment's hesitation, Mary took the receiver. "Hello, Linda." "Sis." Her sister was crying on the other end. "That's enough. I won't pursue any more retribution." Mary's voice maintained its composure while carrying a hint of warmth. "But remember one thing. This was the result of your choices." Outside, autumn's sunlight poured down. Mary gazed out the window as she quietly hung up. As seasons turned, spring returned. In Greenwich's upscale neighborhood, Mary stood before her familiar house. "Welcome back, madam," the new doorman greeted respectfully as white tulips swayed quietly in the spring garden. A new wreath adorned the entrance. "I'm home," Mary said, embracing her son as she opened the door to her home. This was true victory. A quiet, but perfect victory. As the seasons changed from spring to summer, Greenwich's upscale neighborhood was enveloped in the fragrance of flowers. In Mary's garden, roses of various colors bloomed magnificently, and on weekends, the sight of her gardening brought joy to the neighbors' eyes. Her one-year-old son was energetically crawling around on the lawn. "Good morning, Mary." Mrs. Collins from next door stopped by for a Sunday morning greeting. Her smile, warmer than before, had been a constant support to Mary. "Did you see yesterday's news?" "Yes," Mary nodded quietly. Yesterday evening marked 1 year since James's incarceration. A brief news segment had covered his life in prison. His once luxurious suits replaced by prison garb, his arrogant expression subdued. "They say he's participating in a rehabilitation program." "So I heard. But that's no longer any concern of mine." Mary had returned to work. Her position at Morgan Stanley had actually improved. Her deep understanding of financial crime and personal experience had made her career shine even brighter. At the office, new subordinates looked up to her. Her strict but fair guidance, and above all, the strength she showed in overcoming adversity, had become an inspiration to the younger generation. Her parents had left Connecticut and begun a modest life in a small Florida town. Their days were consumed with repaying debts. Their once lavish lifestyle had vanished like a dream. Last week, a letter arrived from her mother. "Mary, you were right. We were wrong. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know that I'm proud of your strength." That letter remained tucked away in Mary's study drawer. Linda had started a new life in San Francisco. She had found work as a web designer at an NPO she met through her community service. She sent Mary short emails once a month. Though Mary never replied, she always read them. "Sis, today I paid my rent with my own salary for the first time. I enjoy spending time drawing with the children at the volunteer center. Little by little, I'm trying to move forward. People can change." Mary didn't deny that. But regaining trust takes time. Mama, up. Her son raised both arms, asking to be held. Mary gently lifted him and kissed his soft cheek. Mary. At their usual church, the pastor approached her. I'd like to nominate you for the new board of deacons. Her position in the community had become even more secure than before. Then, one sunny afternoon, in Morgan Stanley's cafeteria, Mary was talking with the new head of investment division. His warm gaze and intellectual conversation created small ripples in her heart. There's a special exhibition at the Art Museum this Saturday. Yes, that sounds interesting. A new romance. It was still just a vague possibility. But life always opens new doors. At dusk, Mary sat on the garden bench holding her son. As the scent of roses wafted through the air, the distant sky turned crimson. Ma'am, here's the final confirmation for tomorrow's charity event. Martha, the housekeeper, brought over the schedule. Thank you. Also, please prepare the list of new donation recipients. This was the revenge she had chosen. Never forgive. But don't drown in hatred either. Simply live better and stronger. That was the most beautiful form of victory. As Greenwich's twilight deepened, warm light spilled from the windows of Mary's house. The light of a new life shone quietly but surely.